we are kicking things off with a massive shakeup in healthcare transparency. Billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban has slammed the current system, calling it ridiculous to expect Americans to shop for medical care when there is such a glaring lack of pricing transparency. Cuban argues that hospitals and insurers simply do not know their true costs, creating an arbitrage environment where they profit from complexity instead of transparency. He points to how insurers exploit gaps in the system through delayed payments and claim denials, suggesting that emerging technologies like artificial intelligence are only going to complicate these pricing dynamics further. This is a system in crisis, and we dive into the details.
Never get caught with a dead phone again. This INIU portable charger is compact, travel-friendly, and gives you fast 45-watt charging with a built-in USB-C cable, so there's no need to carry extra cords. With 10,000 mAh power, it's perfect for busy days, trips, emergencies, or anytime your battery drops too low. Grab yours on Amazon through the link in the comments before your phone hits 1%.
Next up, we shift gears completely to personal finance and the hidden costs we all ignore. Mark Cuban has dropped a bombshell observation about insurance premiums, calling them the greatest trick the devil ever played. He explains that unlike traditional debt, premiums never reduce a balance. You pay them for life just to maintain access. This mindset shift is crucial because treating premiums like debt changes how you evaluate plans during open enrollment. We explore how this hidden debt impacts your budget, especially as you transition into retirement, and what you need to do to start treating these ongoing obligations with the scrutiny they deserve. Now, let's talk business and entrepreneurial moves. The spotlight is on Collars & Co., the menswear startup that just landed a huge deal with Mark Cuban and Peter Jones on Shark Tank. This Bethesda-based company, known for its unique polo shirts, is expanding rapidly and is set to open its first permanent retail store in Reston Town Center in Northern Virginia. Founder Justin Baer explains the vision behind the brand and how the partnership helped launch their expansion into major markets across the country. Find out everything you need to know about this high-profile venture. And finally, we wrap up with a major move in the sports world. Honey Badger billionaire owner Mark Cuban is making a big splash by investing in the Brampton Honey Badgers in the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Cuban is not just investing, he is personally coming north to watch the team play live at the CAA Center. He believes Canadian basketball is blowing up and is excited to be part of the momentum. We look at the details of his involvement, the team's plans, and why this investment signals a major shift in the basketball landscape. Stay with us for the rest of the broadcast. Billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban has sharply criticized the U.S. healthcare system, labeling the lack of pricing transparency as ridiculous for patients who are expected to shop for medical care like a normal market. In a post on X, Cuban asserted that the notion of patients comparing healthcare prices is absurd, pointing to significant systemic failures between providers and insurers. Cuban stated, "If you think all we need to do in healthcare is let people shop for prices and they will fall, is ridiculous." He attributed the issue to providers and insurance companies lacking clear cost structures and pricing agreements. Furthermore, Cuban accused insurers of exploiting system gaps through tactics such as delayed payments, underpayments, and claim denials, creating an arbitrage environment where insurers profit from complexity rather than transparency. He also highlighted Medicare Advantage plans as evidence of insurers navigating regulations, alleging that companies can bet that they can break the law and never adhere to reporting regs with minimal repercussions. Cuban further argued that emerging technologies, including artificial intelligence, threaten to exacerbate pricing complexities by allowing insurers to adjust costs more rapidly than providers can react. Earlier, Cuban characterized the system as inefficient and opaque, noting that patients and employers face escalating costs, while large healthcare firms and insurers manipulate pricing and rules, suggesting the market is failing to function as a normal competitive system. These concerns mirror broader political scrutiny. Senator Elizabeth Warren, DMAS, blamed Republicans for worsening affordability, stating that Americans are forced to forego medications and make severe financial sacrifices due to rising premiums and coverage losses, pushing families into difficult trade-offs between health care and basic living expenses. Senator Mark Kelly, DRs, pointed to expiring Affordable Care Act subsidies as a driver of premium increases, which has led many to drop coverage, and criticized lawmakers for failing to curb these rises. Billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban has issued a stark critique of how the public perceives insurance premiums, labeling them the greatest trick the devil ever played. Speaking at the American Medical Association National Advocacy Conference, Cuban argues that the prevailing mindset treats these recurring costs as mere expenses rather than recognizing them as a form of debt. A financial categorization, he suggests, is a significant and overlooked error. Cuban's core argument centers on the difference between traditional debt and insurance obligations. Conventional debt, such as mortgages or car loans, has a defined endpoint. Payments reduce a balance until it is fully satisfied. In contrast, insurance premiums operate differently. They are paid continuously, but nothing is ever truly paid off. To maintain coverage, individuals must continue paying premiums indefinitely, making them an ongoing financial obligation rather than a debt with a payoff date. Cuban posits that because premiums lack a clear principal reduction or final obligation, they are easily ignored, despite potentially being one of the highest recurring costs in a budget. This lack of visibility is compounded by how premiums are often structured. For many workers, costs are partially hidden through deductions from paychecks and employer contributions, which makes them feel bundled with benefits rather than being perceived as a direct bill. This obscurity reduces financial pressure, leading to less scrutiny of rising costs. Furthermore, insurance costs are often layered, requiring individuals to consider deductibles, copays, and out-of-pocket maximums after paying the premium, meaning the true cost of accessing healthcare systems can be far greater than the monthly premium suggests. Data from the Kaiser Family Foundation underscores the escalating financial burden. In 2025, the average employer-sponsored family coverage reached $26,993 annually, with workers covering about $6,850 out of pocket. These costs have risen faster than wages, and unlike other expenses, these payments compound annually, often increasing in rate. The financial impact becomes most acute during retirement when employer support vanishes, making healthcare costs highly unpredictable for those on fixed incomes. Cuban is not proposing a specific policy overhaul, but advocating for a fundamental shift in financial thinking. He urges people to begin treating premiums like debt to encourage more rigorous evaluation during open enrollment periods, focusing on total long-term costs rather than just monthly figures. This reframing can highlight that certain fixed costs are not wealth-building assets and warrant closer examination. For long-term planning, Cuban suggests modeling premiums over decades to account for steady increases, enabling individuals to make proactive adjustments, whether through building larger health care buffers or selecting alternative coverage plans. By viewing premiums as a lifetime obligation rather than a simple fixed cost, the perspective shifts from passive acceptance to intentional financial management. A menswear startup, Collars & Co., known for securing investment on the television show Shark Tank, is set to expand its retail presence into Northern Virginia. The Bethesda-based company, which specializes in producing polo shirts featuring a sturdy, dress shirt-style collar, will open its first permanent store in Reston Town Center. The new location will occupy a 1,700 square foot space at 11,869 Market Street, previously housing an Allen Edmonds shoe store. Founder Justin Bear stated that the decision to open in Reston was driven by local ties and the company's significant customer base in the Northern Virginia region. Bear noted, "It's local to us. We're a Bethesda-based business. We go to Reston all the time to eat, and we have a ton of customers in the Northern Virginia area. It's one of our top areas of the country, and we would always love to have a footprint there." Collars & Co. originated as an online shop during the pandemic, before launching on Shark Tank in November 2022. During the televised appearance, the company secured a $300,000 investment and a $700,000 line of credit in exchange for a 10% equity stake. Bear explained the company's core concept: to create a comfortable alternative to wearing a dress shirt under a sweater by developing a polo shirt with a firm collar. Following the Shark Tank appearance, the company launched a pop-up store at Saks Fifth Avenue in Tyson's Galleria for approximately 2 weeks. Since then, Collars & Co. has expanded rapidly, establishing locations in Rockville, Maryland, New York City, Chicago, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Texas. While a specific opening date for the Reston store has not been announced, Bear indicated hopes for an opening shortly after Memorial Day, which falls on May 25th. American billionaire Mark Cuban has announced his investment and buy-in as a part owner of the Brampton Honey Badgers, a team in the Canadian Elite Basketball League, CEBL. Cuban stated that his investment is driven by a newfound passion for the team, declaring, "Why would I invest if I don't come watch?" Cuban expressed enthusiasm for Canadian basketball, noting that he now loves the Honey Badgers significantly more. He confirmed he will be traveling to Brampton to watch the team play live at the CAA Center, calling Canadian basketball a rising force and the Honey Badgers a burgeoning success. He specifically highlighted guard Jameer Nielsen Jr. as a player worth watching. Cuban's involvement is linked to the team through majority owner Leonard Esper and CEO Al Whitley, who previously worked with Cuban at the Dallas Mavericks for over 2 decades. The high-profile investor cited Canada's increasing influence on the global basketball scene as a key factor in his decision to join the franchise. This strategic investment comes as the Honey Badgers work to build momentum for the upcoming season. The team is also implementing initiatives to boost local engagement, including adding Nav Baisha, known as the Raptors superfan, as a community ambassador. Furthermore, the Honey Badgers have announced that Brampton native Matthew Moncrief will wear his hometown jersey for the 2026 season. The Honey Badgers' 2026 CEBL season is set to begin on May 15 against the Ottawa Blackjacks and May 17 against the Calgary Surge. The team will play its home games at the CAA Center in Brampton, as the CEBL season runs from May through August.